there, and welcome to Two Chimps on a Davenport. No, actually, it's Sit and Spin. I'm your host, Joe, and tonight, my special co-host, the Spock to my Kirk, my very good friend, Mr. Scott Oliver.
Live long and sit and spin.
And when I first heard tonight's album, I thought, man, this is right up my friend Scott Oliver's alley, and so I had to get him as co-host. It was a perfect opportunity for him to finally co-host one of the episodes with me. And tonight we are talking about what, Mr. Oliver?
We are talking about the new Daft Punk album, which was released this past Tuesday, and the name of the album is...
Random Access Memories. It's the band's fourth studio album, their follow-up to 2010 soundtrack to the movie Tron, which they also did the score to, too. And Daft Punk's actually been on the scene since 1997. Really been that long already.
Yeah, well, the first song I heard by Daft Punk was actually Stronger, Faster, Better... Harder, thank you. But that was my introduction to Daft Punk. If I got the title wrong, I'm sorry about that. But
this album is a bit different for the band. It's actually probably the most organic album they've ever done. They actually used real session musicians in the recording of it instead of just making everything electronically. A lot of cool special guests on the album. You got people like Nile Rodgers from Chic. You got Pharrell Williams from the Neptunes and NERD, who actually does two of my favorite songs on the record. He does the single Get Lucky and Lose Yourself to Dance, which is really cool. And Panda Bear is on the album. Giorgio Moroder does a really cool track. He doesn't sing, but he does vocals on a track called Giorgio by Moroder. Julian Casablancas from The Strokes, but you wouldn't recognize his vocals overall because they run everything through a vocal order, and it still sounds really cool. And one other really cool special artist that stuck out.
If you grew up in the 70s and the 80s, on one of the tracks, you're going to recognize the vocals of Paul Williams, who is singing in the background right now. Yes, Paul Williams from The Tonight Show. He was also on game shows, and he also did some type of movie. Joe, what were you saying about that one?
Phantom of the Paradise. Actually, when I first heard the song, I'm thinking, is that Paul Williams? And
yeah.
It turned out it really was. And this track actually, it sounds like some kind of long-lost song for that movie, Phantom of the Paradise, which we talked about in the Rock and Roll Greatest Movies of All Time. And there's a character in the movie called Swan who actually loses his voice and has to have it reduplicated electronically. And the beginning of the album kind of sounds like that. And I'm thinking, wow, this is very reminiscent of that. And then I did a little digging and found out that the song is actually a bit of an homage to Phantom of the Paradise. So that's super cool on that part. And of course, Paul Williams, well-known songwriter, he wrote a lot of the hits for the Carpenters. We've Only Just Begun. He wrote
Just an Old-Fashioned Love Song, which he's probably most famous for.
And Paul Williams actually starred in and scored the Phantom of the Paradise, so that's really cool too. And lots of great sounds on this record, as Scott said, funk, disco elements, but just enough for the Daft Punk fans to find something new to like in it too. And where was it recorded?
It was recorded in Paris, actually, but the
they're
mastering...
French.
Yeah, well, we won't hold that against them.
Not at all.
But it was mastered. Once the recording is finished, when it got to the mastering process, it was done right here at Gateway Studios, right here in Portland, Maine, by Bob Ludwig himself. So, one of the great albums of this year, I believe.
Yeah, definitely
it was done right in Portland.
Yeah, definitely a contender for Album of the Year. And if you're a Daft Punk fan, there's plenty for you to love, even though it's a little different stylistically for them for some of the stuff. But if you're not a Daft Punk fan, it may just be the record that makes you a Daft Punk fan.
As someone who listens to a lot of classic rock, what I was surprised at when you hear Daft Punk, you think club music. But actually it wasn't that at all. It was kind of refreshing. It has a lot of Daft Punk elements that the fans who are Daft Punk fans,
the vocal orders
and that signature sound that they have, but I think they kind of went in a new direction with this album. It's a little bit retro, a little bit R&B, a little bit of disco, but still, great compilation.
And it's their first album for Columbia Records. The band used to be on Virgin Records, and now they're on Columbia for this record. And as we are listening tonight on vinyl, it's a record that really loads itself well to vinyl. It's really sweet. There's some cool things in the vinyl. Aside from the sweet double gatefold packaging that folds out to this sweet picture of electronics and stuff, it's got a really nice booklet that comes with it. All the lyrics, you just don't get stuff like this unless this is one of the great things about vinyl, like this nice booklet, all the lyrics and stuff. With the CD, it's this little baby booklet. And cool things like, check this out, man. That is what it looks like inside a Daft Punk helmet. Special blueprint pans. You'll have to buy the record to find out. And, if you buy the vinyl, there's other cool things that come with it as well.
If you get the vinyl, you're going to be interested in how side one ends, as opposed to if you just get the digital copy. The digital copy is available
For free.
Yeah, for free. You can download it for
With the
free
vinyl.
if you have iTunes. It's also available on iTunes, but you can also go right to the Columbia Records site and download it from that site to listen to on whatever device that you have. So definitely check this out.
So yeah, when you get to the end of side one, it kind of counts down to this bleep, 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 bleep. It's wicked cool. And you only get that if you're listening to it on vinyl. It's kind of a neat little thing besides all the other extra goodies for vinyl fans.
Exactly.
But definitely go pick it up. The new record from Daft Punk. You'll love it. I guarantee you it's really, really good. It lends itself very well to repeated listenings. All sorts of neat little nuggets that you're going to miss like the first time or the second time, even the third time out, that you're going to pick up on. Really, really cool stuff. Anything else you want to say about it?
Good album to chill out to. Just turn it on and go about your day around your house. You're gonna love it, and you'll catch yourself just catching little moments and oh wow, I didn't hear that before. But one shout out while I'm sitting here with my friend Joe, and he's invited me to be on Sit and Spin. Want to shout out to my friend Sean out in San Francisco, who kind of indirectly introduced me to Daft Punk. Sean, thank you. This is a great album. I know you're listening to it, and I just want to say thanks.
Do you know if you got one of the sweet masks? Some of the places actually had a sweet mask. It's a replica of the two guys' faces melted together. I got mine too late to get it.
That's right. Sean went to a listening party for Daft Punk last weekend out in San Francisco. I don't know if he got one of the masks, but he's into costumes, so if there was one available, he got one, I'm sure.
Sweet. And yeah, like Scott said, great album, great chill out record, man. Just a good record to throw on, sit back, inhale, exhale, chill out, and just get lost in the grooves of the record. And like any great record, it takes you on a musical journey, and it's kind of one of the things they were trying to achieve with this record too. They wanted to kind of imitate or duplicate the sounds of classic records from the past, things like Hotel California by the Eagles or Rumors by Fleetwood Mac, but good records like that you would put on, and it's a whole experience listening to the album, and they just kind of updated that for today's sound.
Exactly.
Well, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for tuning into this week's episode of Sit and Spin. Next week, I'm going to try to get to the Josh Taylor Challenge. Outline that more in the site if you don't remember what it was. But basically, Josh says that he said, I want you to pick 3 of your favorite records from 3 different time periods. And I'm like, only 3? You know, that's really tough for somebody like me. So he gave me a secondary challenge within the challenge. He said, okay, you can have 5, but one of them has to be a solo album by somebody. So I'm going to take him up on the 5 part, because even that's going to be hard to do. Unless something else super groovy comes out next week, that'll be our subject for next week. But you never know, because this record totally took me by surprise. And anytime that happens, that's definitely going to be something you're going to see on Sit and Spin. So thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Mr. Oliver.
Thank you, Joe.
And we'll catch you guys next time, or at least you'll catch me. I'm sure you'll be seeing Mr. Oliver again. Definitely cool having Scott around to bounce stuff off of this time out. Hopefully you enjoyed his company as much as I did.
I know I did.
Thanks. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
There.